This is why you must stop telling what happens in your life. Every time you speak, you give away power, not just in what you say, but in what you reveal. You tell people your plans, your breakthroughs, your next move, thinking they'll understand, thinking they'll support you. But here's the truth no one warns you about. Most people aren't listening to cheer you on. They're listening to measure you, to compare, to judge, to gather intel. And every word you share gives them a blueprint to sabotage you, consciously or not. Because not everyone who smiles wants you to win. Not everyone who listens has your growth in mind. Some people pretend to care just so they can stay close enough to watch you fall. Not because you wronged them, but because your evolution reminds them of their stagnation. Your clarity makes their confusion louder. Your momentum triggers their laziness. And your courage makes their excuses feel exposed. The biggest mistake strong people make is assuming others think like them. You assume that because your heart is genuine, so is theirs. That because you want to inspire, they want you to succeed. But it doesn't work that way. When you tell people your vision, they don't always hear it as motivation. They hear it as threat. Your dreams expose their limitations. Your ambition disturbs their comfort. And instead of growing with you, they'll try to shrink you. With doubt, with sarcasm, with silence. Ever noticed how the moment you share something beautiful, suddenly the energy shifts? People get quiet, change the subject, tell you to be careful. That's not concern, that's resistance. Because some people can't handle your becoming, so they'll plant tiny seeds of fear in your path, hoping you'll slow down, so they won't have to speed up. There's a sacred power in silence, not the silence of fear, but the silence of discipline. The kind where you hold your vision close, like fire in your chest. You let it burn, you let it guide, but you don't broadcast it. Because your growth doesn't need an audience, it needs protection. Not everything sacred should be spoken. Some ideas are still too raw, too fragile for public exposure. And when you speak too soon, you invite opinions from people who haven't earned the right to shape your path. They don't carry your hunger. They haven't walked through your pain. So why let their doubt stain your destiny? There is a reason ancient wisdom taught secrecy. Because power multiplies in stillness. And when you move in silence, your results speak louder than your voice ever could. In today's world, people confuse oversharing with authenticity. They think being real means narrating every detail of their journey, posting every move, venting every struggle, announcing every plan. But real power doesn't shout. It whispers. It builds quietly. It grows in the dark, away from noise, away from validation. Every time you speak too soon, you allow energy to leak. You give others the chance to inject their fears into your clarity. Even worse, you start performing your life instead of living it. You become addicted to feedback, to likes, comments, approval, and slowly, your path becomes a reaction to other people's opinions instead of a reflection of your soul. And here's the paradox. The more you reveal, the less real it becomes. Because true purpose doesn't need praise. It needs presence. The most dangerous thing you can do with your vision is make it public before it's protected. Because once it's out there, it's not just yours anymore. It becomes a target for projections, for envy, for unconscious sabotage disguised as advice. You'll hear, Are you sure you can handle that? Don't get your hopes up. Maybe stick to something safer. But what they're really saying is, don't become something I'm too afraid to be. Because when you grow, you force people to look in the mirror. And not everyone's ready for that reflection. That's why some of your biggest resistance won't come from strangers. It'll come from the people closest to you. Not because they hate you, but because they fear losing the version of you they feel safe around. So protect your transformation, not with arrogance, but with boundaries. You don't owe your evolution to anyone, not their approval, not their understanding, and definitely not their permission. The truth is, the deeper you go into yourself, the fewer people will come with you. And that's not a tragedy, that's clarity. You'll start noticing who truly supports your growth and who just liked the version of you that didn't make them uncomfortable. You'll see who listens to understand and who listens to compare. Your circle will shrink, but your power will expand. Because solitude doesn't mean isolation. It means alignment. When you stop oversharing, you create space. Space for your ideas to mature, for your intuition to guide, for your actions to lead without interruption. Silence isn't absence, it's strategy. Silence isn't weakness, it's weaponry. When you move without noise, you become unpredictable, unstoppable. You shift from being watched to being wondered about. People don't know what you're planning, and that unsettles them. Because silence creates tension, and tension creates respect. You start to glow differently. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because your energy is no longer leaking. It's concentrated, it's sovereign, and people can feel it. They may not understand what's changed, but they'll know they can't access you the way they used to. You're not broadcasting anymore. You're building, and that shift, it's magnetic. Because a man who no longer needs to explain himself is a man you can't distract, can't derail, can't define. So here's the truth they don't teach you. Power doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly, moves precisely, and lets results do the talking. You don't need to warn people about your next step. You don't need to explain your healing, your ambition, or your hunger. You just need to walk it daily, deliberately, without noise. Because when the dust settles, it's not the loudest who lead. It's the most consistent, the ones who mastered the art of silence and used it to sharpen their edge, to build behind the scenes, to rise without distraction. So next time you feel the urge to share your plans, pause, breathe, and remember, you're not here to impress. You're here to evolve, and evolution is a silent revolution.